Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, a Spotlight podcast. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
All right, so we all know that Lansing's produced a lot of talented people, but talented people are often lured away to chase their dreams elsewhere. Every now and then we get a star to return home, and here to share his journey and a few of the ways he's currently giving back to his community is the former basketball star turned businessman and politician, Jon Horford. Welcome to the show, Jon.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
All right. So I'm not a Michigander originally. I moved here in about 2008. So why don't you tell us, for those who don't know, where are your Michigan roots?
Right here, essentially. I mean, born at Sparrow Hospital, went to Forest View Elementary, and then moved over to Grand Ledge and went there for the remainder of my schooling, so middle school, high school. So, I mean, I have a ton of, I'm literally right here. I mean, I'm home. I'm home.
Right on. Well, for those listening to this as a podcast, they don't notice that you're tall.
Just a little.
So basketball became a part of your life. How did that all get started?
Almost by force, really. It wasn't necessarily something. So I always tell people I was the worst athlete in my family, of all my siblings, and then including my dad, who was the best athlete in the family, like just physically. I was probably the worst.
Really?
Yeah, the most uncoordinated. I wasn't naturally gifted in really any area except for, just I guess mentally maybe.
Okay.
I just have a little bit more grit than my other siblings. So I worked at it for a long time. I was a bench warmer for a long, long time for most of my upbringing, and just kind of had to stay the course and find a way to persevere and get decent enough at basketball to trick some guy named John Beeline into getting a scholarship.
Yeah. So how did that go? I mean, self-made guy. I mean, clearly you had influence around you and were probably exposed to the sport, pretty early on. But like you said, you really did have to work for it. And so how did college recruiting go? Did you have a lot of prospects, a lot of offers?
Fortunately, I did. I didn't know how it was going to, in my mind, that was always my goal, was just to go to college, play Division I. But all levels of college basketball are, excellent, and, there are great players on every level. But I wanted to play D1, and, that was my dream. So just kind of played AAU, went on the circuit, got exposed in that way. That's when I really started getting more offers, and, I was fortunate enough to end up where I wanted to go, which was University of Michigan.
Okay, and you did a stint in Florida, too.
Yeah.
How did that manifest?
So I did 4 years at Michigan, graduated, and then did my 5th year at Florida. It was just, I don't know the best way to even explain it. I ended up going, John Beeline and I, we just, we didn't see things eye to eye based on how it happened. I was a captain my last year at Michigan, and they're like, he's so strict on like rules and like following like, things by the book and all this. And he slipped on a couple of things to allow a certain player who I loved to have some opportunities, and I didn't sit right with me.
Okay.
So I was just like, I don't know what to do here. I feel conflicted. So then I went to Florida.
Right on. Okay. And so, to even get an opportunity to play Division I athletics is a very steep climb. And when you're done, your college career, that's certainly when most people, statistically have to hang up the cleats or, play recreationally and stuff. But your path was better than that. So talk to me about what you did after school.
Yeah, I got lucky. I got lucky. I was fortunate. So I played summer league with the Hawks that summer, and then I played. I had like a preseason contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. Then I ended up getting cut from there after the preseason. And then I ended up getting picked up in the G League, played 4 years in the G League. And I really enjoyed my time there. Got to, make a lot of great friends, play against some, great players. A lot of players who are playing in the NBA right now. And just, continue that, that basketball dream.
Right on. So, the prospect of playing for paid hoops starts to end. What made you decide to come back to Michigan, and not only just back to Michigan, but come right back here to Lansing?
Yeah, so I guess my last stint, I was fortunately in Michigan. I was playing for the Pistons G League team, and they were out of Grand Rapids at the time. Now they're in Detroit. They just moved last season. And I was just, my body was beat up. I was kind of a bruiser, just dive on the floor, get rebounds, hit people, do all that. And I wanted to kind of transition and just focus on some other stuff. Me and my wife, we have a few businesses that were already going while I was playing. So I was like, I'm going to focus more on that stuff. And we decided to come back to Lansing just because it's home. Like, her parents are here. My parents are here. Most of my siblings are here. We have a lot of friends, and comfort, from the area. So
right. Oh, that's great. So you talked about some of these businesses, and at least according to your LinkedIn, it seems like Christina Capron Fitness was the first chronological business that you were part of.
It was.
Discovered that. I think that's your wife.
Yeah, she is my wife. So that business we started when I went down to Florida. We needed to find. So she was at Michigan State.
Okay.
She was going to be a nurse, and then she was like, "I'm not happy doing this. I don't want to do this. I'm gonna come with you to Florida." And I was just like, as long as it's like what you want to do, I don't want you to feel like you have to come down. And she's like, no, I'm sick of school, like, but we have to find something like for me to do, and her parents are obviously like, what are you doing, you're ruining,
right,
you're gonna ruin her life, like, it's your fault, blah blah blah, if this doesn't work out. I'm just like, it's gonna be all right. So then we started this business to just create fitness plans for individual clients, and then it grew into an app and some other things. And it's she's been extremely successful. It's mostly successful because of who she is,
right,
as a person. She's just she's very she's very kind, she's very relatable. She just does a great job of attracting people and making people believe her and trust her, and want to follow her in her journey and believe that they can do the same thing. So all the credit to her for that.
Right on. And then that spun into Blueprint Athletes.
And then Blueprint,
maybe not spun it, but
so then Blueprint Athletes. I mean, Blueprint Athletes spun off something I've been doing for 12 years. So after I graduated from Grand Ledge, I started officially working with kids that off season. My brother, his friend Malik, and then their other friend Luke were my first 3 kids that I did training and mentoring for. So I've been doing that for free in the area. Kids, a bunch of different schools. I've had kids from, Holt, Mason, Portland, Lansing schools, East Lansing, kids from everywhere. Okay. Obviously a lot of Grand Ledge kids too. And it's just free training, mentoring. I call it habit development. So just working with kids to, this is what I say. I say, change your habits or change your goals. Tell me what your goals are, and I will help you to develop the habits to hopefully put you in a position to reach those goals. But it's very tough. It's tough. Tough. I try to tell kids all the time, and I know I ended up growing into a 6'9" man, but growing up, being a kid that was a bench warmer, I tell kids all the time when I go to camps, are you in elementary school or middle school, whatever? I was like, do you play? Do you get off the bench? And, kids were like, yeah. I'm like, you're ahead of me already. But are you going to work harder than I worked? I was in the gym 6-7 days a week, just trying to catch up, trying to get better. So getting kids to kind of understand what it takes, because most kids, I was just with Grand Ledge I talk to kids at Grand Ledge all the time. I talk to kids all over all the time.
Right.
I'll tell them, raise your hand if you want to play Division I basketball. Every kid, 95% of kids put their hand up. But it's do you understand what it takes to play at that level? Do you understand how few people actually get to play at that level? Do you understand that there's fantastic, basketball being played at the Division II level, Division III, NAIA, JUCO? You have options to play on the next level that aren't D1 related, but just helping kids to understand the path and what goes into it, and developing the habits that will help them to be successful in that, time management, being able to, work with other people, perseverance, discipline to do things in a quality way, and not take shortcuts. And then just having that consistency to show up, day after day after day. It's no easy task.
Right. And teaching kids at that age to say no to the peer pressure their friends that are not into this kind of athletic path, right? And diet and sleep and exercise and not partying and doing all that kind of stuff, or at least minimizing it if you're going to really play at your optimal level.
Exactly, or just minimizing. I tell kids all the time, like, just come up with the schedule. Like, even if you could find like 2 hours 5 times a week for like structured training, like something that's focused, something that addresses your weaknesses and your strengths. And I help kids to come up with those plans, and that's kind of what Blueprint Athletes ended up being. It's an app that allows coaches, me, or individual players to follow, structured workouts for different skills. It could be dribble handoff, it could be back to the basket footwork, it could be face-up footwork, it could be shooting off the dribble, it could be shooting off the move, it could be pick and roll, pick and pop. There's a bunch of different categories, but then you can also customize all of the guides. So if you want to do something specific to your offense and put something together for an individual player, a small group of players, an entire team, you can do that. So it's just a good way to help kids to structure their workouts, because if you don't help kids to structure their workouts, they will just do nonsense 99% of the time. Genuinely, very few kids have the discipline to go in without a plan and do something productive.
Right.
And I have over a decade of research to prove that.
Right on. Okay, so the app Blueprint Athletes, you can find that on Google Play, App Store, that kind of stuff, and download it.
Yep. And
that'll just give you a series of, you create a schedule, or you type in your goals or whatever, or it just has videos and trainings.
So it's short clips. So it's just short clips that show exactly what the drill is, nothing extra, and then there's a description for every clip. There's a note section that allows people to, there's strength conditioning on there as well that John Sanderson, strength coach at the University of Michigan, helped me come up with.
Okay.
There are conditioning tests on there. There's at-home strength conditioning. There are a lot of ways for people to get better, even if they don't have access to like a basketball hoop, for example, right? You want to just do, you have a basketball, just do dribbling drills, and you can do balance drills, you can do conditioning drills, you can do at-home strength conditioning drills. You don't have a basketball, you can do conditioning drills, you can do balance drills, you can do at-home strength conditioning drills, and then there's even what I call mental focus on there.
Okay.
That just walks kids through scenarios that they're likely to face and just how to shift the way that they think about specific scenarios. For example, like getting pulled out of a game, like your coach pulls you out of a game, you're upset, you're mad, you want to stay in the game, but you don't know why your coach pulled you out of the game. Like maybe it is because you made a mistake. You still can't do anything about it. Maybe it's because they want to rest you for the next quarter. Maybe it's because they saw that there's a different matchup out there that would be more favorable. Like you're just assuming the worst always. Like, you know what I mean? Instead of just staying ready for your next moment. Like you were just in the game. Do you think that you're not going to go back in the game? Like, stay ready, stay focused, don't make assumptions. Like, you know what I mean? Just things like that, just to get kids in the right frame of mind to have success.
Makes sense. And it always has to be evolving, I would imagine, right? The app, you've got new content being put in as you learn more things. And
I need to update it with some more content. But I mean, there's so much on there. I mean, I didn't have access to. I mean, we had a great trainer, Al and I, when we were growing up. But the amount of content on there, it's a lifetime worth of content. It's more content than most people would know what to do with.
Right.
Genuinely. And none of it's like gimmicky. It's all things that directly relate to, having success in basketball.
Right. And if our listeners wanted to see the Blueprint Athlete, you have a website also, right? Before they download the app, they could go onto the website and read a little bit about it, see a video clip here and there, and kind of learn the story, correct? Yeah.
They can go to blueprintathletes.com to find that. They can go to blueprint.athletes on Instagram and check out some of the videos. I admit that I haven't been the most diligent in posting since I started my public service journey, but I'll do better to post on that and keep that updated. But another cool thing that I'm working on right now with my developer is I'm big on removing barriers, which is why I've never charged kids for the training that I do.
Okay.
So I actually want to find a way to just remove like all barriers to the app and just make it completely free to anybody who wants it. Now, here's the other thing. I've always done this. Any kid who's ever reached out to me and said like, hey, I want to use this app, but I can't afford it, for free. I've had partnerships with Boys and Girls Club, I've had partnerships with nonprofits all over the country to just give them hundreds of subscriptions for free. We've given away over 20,000 subscriptions to the app for free.
Wow.
Like, I have no issue. Like, it's really not, it's not a money thing for me. I just want to help people help themselves, you know, because all these people have all these goals and they don't know how to structure their workouts in order to put themselves in a position to even reach those goals. Like, I tell kids all the time, the best lesson that I learned from basketball was that you can work so hard. You can work harder than all the people around you, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to reach your goals. It doesn't. It doesn't. I genuinely think if you asked John Beilein or Billy Donovan or, you know, even in the pros, like, does anyone, you know, put more time into their game than John does, or more time into this? Especially while I was there, they would say no. My teammates would say the same thing. You know what I mean? And I still didn't reach I made it to the pros, but I didn't have like the NBA career that I wanted to have. And I tell kids, like, sometimes it's a blessing to, you know, get to that point of realization that, you know, just because you put in all this hard work and time doesn't mean you're going to reach your goals. But the benefit of that is the strength of character gained, the lessons learned, the relationships made. Like, there's a beauty in it. And to, you know, keep an open mind, you know, when they're deciding on their path for a future. Like, don't necessarily always be so fixed. Like, it's good to have a dream, but it's also good to be a little flexible.
Right on. Good for you. So, public service, politics, and you're moving from athletics and youth sports into politics. Talk to me about your decision. You know, why did you decide to dabble in this?
Yeah. So,
or dive into it. I don't want to say dabble, because based on what I'm hearing from you, you don't dabble in much. You do it or you don't do it.
Yeah, I throw myself into things. I'm all in or I'm not in. So I started getting into public service. I mean, I guess and that's the thing. I've been a part of public service for a long time. I've been giving back to the community for a long time. I've been a part of, you know, groups that are working to, you know, make positive changes in the area for a long time. So getting into it in you know, an elected capacity was something that I've been kind of hearing for a long time from, you know, people in the area. My mom is pretty politically active, Liz Horford, and she has a bunch of friends who are, you know, involved in, you know, local politics, and they have been telling me for years, like, this is something that we think you'd be great at. You have the heart for it, you have the temperament for it, and I just didn't really have much interest. And then after I retired from basketball, I was looking for, you know, more ways to give back outside of basketball. And I was just calling around to, you know, local representatives, and Angela Whitwer called me back. And when Angela called me back, she was like, let's meet, you know, talk about this. And, you know, we talked. She asked me a bunch of questions, and she was like, I'm going to get you to run for state representative.
How about that?
And I was just like, no. And this was, you know, 2 years ago. I was like, no, I was like, that's not what I'm looking for. She's like, no, just trust me. She's like, you're perfect for it. And I was just like, we'll see, you know. So sometimes other people see something in you that you don't necessarily see in yourself. And she's helped me, you know, she kept her word, and she's helped me the whole way. So for the last 2 years, she's been helping me to, you know, mostly build relationships, you know, and prepare for this journey. And, you know, she's been, you know, a huge blessing. That's
great. So 77th District,
yep.
Right, for the House.
Yep.
Where is the 77th District? Tell that story.
So we're right in the 77th right now.
Okay.
It's 1st and 4th Ward of Lansing. It's Lansing Township. It's the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd precincts of Grand Ledge. It is 2nd precinct of Oneida Township. It's DeWitt Township, DeWitt, Waterton Township, Eagle Township, Raleigh Township, and Westphalia Township.
Got it. Okay. So downtown and west and north.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an interesting mix.
No doubt. And that's a new district?
Yeah. So all the districts in the state are new. We just went through our first citizens redistricting, actually. So the goal with that was to make more fair maps.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And are you going to have a primary?
I do.
So which will be August, right?
Yep. August 2nd.
Okay.
Yep.
And then do you know how many people you're running against?
Yeah, there are 3 total, including me in the primary right now.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm fortunate to have a lot of local support. I have the support of, you know, all the mayors in the district. I have a ton of, you know, union support. I have the support of, you know, reps in the area, obviously, you know, like Angela. I have Sarah Anthony, who would have run for this seat if she wasn't running for state senate support. and a bunch of others. So I'm very fortunate in that regard.
Wonderful. And people can go on your website for that to learn a little bit more about your beliefs, right? That's jonhorford.com?
Yep, jonhorford.com, and it's Jon.
Yep.
But if you spell it John, I own that one too, so it'll redirect you.
Got it. Okay. And so I'm looking and again, it's your rookie campaign, and there's a lot of great stuff in there, right? You talk about housing and education and jobs, health and wellness,
Yep.
all, are, almost hard to say, well, I'm not for that stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, nobody wants that. We have too many jobs, so get us less. No,
exactly.
But what caught my eye is you have a genuine support for agriculture.
Yep.
Talk to me about that, because that really jumped out as something that is a little untraditional.
Yeah, so that's something that's been instilled in me for a long time. I come from a farming family. My mom is from the Carson City area. My grandpa was a dairy farmer, had hundreds of dairy cows, and was just a great hardworking guy who really instilled into us that we need to have respect for animals and for the land and for the people who put food on our tables and benefit us in a lot of ways. And Michigan is a state that I think agriculture is our second biggest industry.
Yep.
And behind, we have like the most diverse, agriculture in the United States after, I believe, like California, like in the amount of things that like we grow and the amount that we produce. But we have a reliable source of water, and they don't. So, I mean, agriculture is a huge part of Michigan currently and will be an even bigger part going into the future, dealing with a lot of these effects of climate change, unfortunately. But, we need to make the best of that. We need to, protect the land, protect the water, and have that respect and give all the help that we can to farmers and people that want to do it. It's hard work, it's thankless work, and I think if we can get the state as a whole to have a greater appreciation for the people that do this work and to help them in every way that we can, I think that only benefits Michigan and gets more people to want to go into an industry that is struggling to recruit people to jump in and take over family farms. I mean, I know no one wanted to take over my grandpa's farm as a dairy farmer.
Right.
When every time they worked till they were 18, and then they were like,
I don't want any part of this.
Bye. Like, what I mean? It's tough.
Yes.
It's tough.
No doubt. My uncle's was a dairy farmer, and he had 6 kids, and none of them took it over.
Exactly. So same situation. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, I got to tell you, Jon, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. I mean, clearly you've got deep roots in this community. A lot of people do know you, but hopefully we introduced your story to a lot of people maybe who don't know you. And I wish you all the best. And I invite our listeners to jump on blueprintathletes.com and to jonhorford.com to learn a little bit about getting in shape and playing some hoops, and then seeing what we can do to maximize the great things going on here in Michigan.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for having me on, Chris. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Jon. Thank you.